Let's talk UFOs. The subject of UFOs, UAPs, has received tons of ridicule throughout the years. But in reality, this subject is very serious and very real. See, despite what the government says, what the media says, they have recovered craft of extraterrestrial origin years ago. Roswell is very real, and there's also been Roswell type situations in other countries such as Brazil. But the CIA has helped brainwash people to not take this subject seriously. And they've used the media in Hollywood to help them. So whenever people think of UFOs, they think of it as something silly, right? That's not real. See, this is psychological brainwashing. But in actuality, this is a very serious subject. Now, the media is starting to take this subject more serious because they try to say it's a national security threat. But what we have to understand is the actual ETs are not a threat to national security. But what is a threat to national security are the human-made UFOs. See, there's these black budget programs that have been reverse engineering these craft for years, and they've learned things, and they've created their own craft, which a lot of people mistake for the real thing. See, there's our craft that are mind-blowing, and then there's the ET craft. But see, these black budget programs that have these craft have no congressional oversight. And that has to change. And see, these agencies, these corporations that want to keep this subject covered up or want to make it seem like the ETs are a threat to national security when they're the threat, when their craft are the threat. Because, believe it or not, they're using these craft, these black budget, illegal organizations that have no congressional oversight, that obey no laws. They get their funding through a few ways because, of course, we know that the military industrial complex, they're not the best at auditing. There's $1 trillion that's unaccounted for. You can watch that video.
It's absolutely the case that the United States military should be able to pass an audit, and we've got to be on that pathway to get there.
But don't you think that that does speak to the larger point that we're trying to get at, which is good journalism uncovers corruption? And
Okay, I mean, good journalism does uncover corruption,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure these two things are linked. An audit is not.
but they are. An $850 billion budget to an organization that can't pass an audit and tell you where that money went, like, I think most people would consider that somewhere in the realm of waste, fraud, or abuse, because they would wonder why that money isn't well accounted for.
Where a lot of that money goes to these black budget programs, but they also get money through human trafficking, believe it or not, and drugs. And so they can get a large amount of money for their programs. And that's what they use these man-made craft for. Human trafficking and drug trade. Funny, right? And there's witnesses that have witnessed this stuff. Navy SEALs.
You crest this hill.
Yep.
You look down into the valley.
Yep.
And there's a clearing.
There's a clearing
with a UAP.
Yes.
Just sitting there.
Sitting there
hovering.
rotating clockwise, yep. And that's in transition this color spectrum I was telling you too. And
How
that's
close did you get
to the craft?
to the craft?
Roughly 200 meters, 150, 200.
Did you get to the bottom of the hill?
Yes.
So you could see, so you saw the top of it, and then you could see underneath of it.
So right when we got close to it, at least 150, 200 meters out, then all of a sudden we were engaged, at least not in a hostile manner, at least, not gunfire or firefight or anything like that. But the way that these guys moved was so fluid, it was so still, it was very, very, very smooth. And it kind of indicated to me, after thinking about it for several years, is that these guys have done it for a while because of how smooth this operation was. Mm-hmm. So when we were in a tactical column going towards the center of this thing, they actually came from the flanks, but it was more of a diagonal, like a corner of the room, so to speak, right? For them, in a tactical advantage, they have interlocking fields of fire on every single person, and they had a team of 8, right? And the gear that they had was black OTV vests. They had black camouflage utilities.
So what you're saying is there would have been no they were professional.
So we kind of knew, and they started yelling at us. They were like, you're not supposed to fucking be here. What the fuck are you guys doing here? Who the fuck are you with? So they knew they were using the kind of lingo that we were using too, especially in the military. So it made me think that at some point these guys actually were uniformed military at one point.
Any accents?
Not accents. It's just like American dialects, how you and I are talking. At one point they said they were going to smoke us. They could throw us out of a helicopter. It's very easy to get lost in the jungle out here. They kept saying stuff like that. They had this thing that they were using to load up stuff. It's very advanced physics, something hovering off the ground, not making any sound, but an audible hum, like a guitar amp or something that's like a transformer.
So it wasn't like, it didn't sound like a jet.
No.
It didn't sound like a helicopter.
Hell no.
There was no engine noise.
Nope.
Just a hum.
Just an audible hum. It's very creepy to see because it's not normal.
Was it like a bassy hum?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Like a guitar. Like if you were to unplug it, it wasn't the same pitch, but it was like the same kind of sound, same kind of noise that it emitted.
And so we need to expose this. See, people want the government to disclose this information, but see, the government, they're going to try to disclose it in a way where they try to make the public believe that these extraterrestrials are a threat, right? See, the government has their own craft that the public would believe are ETs, but they're not. And those craft are the threat, not the ETs. So they're going to try to make the public believe that these ETs are a threat, because, of course, the military-industrial complex wants more war, as always. And so we have to understand that this reality is a multi-frequential, multi-dimensional hall of mirrors. So we're not going to get disclosure from outside of us until we disclose it within ourselves. See, reality mirrors us. So disclose it with yourself, and then the outer reality will mirror that. Notice how the more people believe in UFOs, the outer reality starts to reflect it. We have more sightings. We have more people coming forward. Whistleblowers. More evidence. Because we are the creators. And reality mirrors us. See, the media has been brainwashing people for years. The media, Hollywood, to make this subject seem like a joke. To make it seem like, how could there be another civilization out there in this infinite universe? How could there be another civilization more advanced than us? Ha ha ha. Such a joke, right? How could they cover it up? Well, first, they brainwash you to make you believe it's a joke. Wouldn't even cover the subject unless there wasn't ridicule.
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
The media wouldn't even cover it. That was funny. The media wouldn't even cover it unless there was ridicule attached to it. Thanks to the CIA. And then the subject had to go into the Inquirer so people wouldn't take it serious. So that's one way the media would brainwash people to not take it serious. Also, it's so compartmentalized, it's all hard to figure out and see through. But it's very real. They have been reverse engineering these craft. And there's whistleblowers, first-hand whistleblowers, that have worked on this craft, that are starting to come forward because they have protection for whistleblowers now.
A new whistleblower is coming forward saying he's not just saying he's heard about a secret government program to retrieve UFO crash remains. He says he's worked on this program. He claims to have video to prove it and credentialed colleagues who back him up, and he has the attention of at least one senior lawmaker. News Nation's Ross Coulthard has been working on this story for more than a year. He conducted the interview for a special report airing right here this Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And News Nation correspondent Joe Khalil is here with a first look. Joe, these are pretty stunning claims.
Yeah, they are, Elizabeth. The man you saw in the video, Jake Barber, he's an Air Force veteran, and he is coming forward with some shocking claims. The first person to go public saying that he actually participated directly in a secret military program that he believes was to retrieve UAP or alien craft. Now, Barber says he was contracted as a helicopter pilot. He retrieved all kinds of crashed craft. Some of it, he says, top secret and explainable. Others, he says, however, he believes were non-human origin. It's not just him. We've got 3 other military veterans backing up his story on the record and on camera. to News Nation. So take a listen quickly to just part of Ross Coulthart's conversation with Barber.
So tell me about the moment when you realized that you were involved in a retrieval of non-human technology, alien tech.
So it became very clear the first time our communication process and procedure was modified. And then just visually looking at the object on the ground, you could tell that it was extraordinary and anomalous. It was not human.
How close did you get?
Well, I was a helicopter pilot, and I operate with 150 foot to 200 foot long line. So I got within 150 feet of this object.
What did you see?
I saw an egg, a white egg.
Was there any visible propulsion system on it?
No, not what we would know. There's no engine, there was no thermal signature. I was operating at night when I finally came in to pick it up, so I'm working under night vision goggles at the time. And it was quite clear. I flipped them up, flipped them down, and looked at it a couple of different ways.
How did you know that that egg-shaped object was non-human in origin?
Well, visually, after seeing all kinds of things in my past, it was clearly something that was ridiculously looking. It's inconsistent with anything I'd ever seen before. I can also tell you that the reaction by my team, we all knew we were dealing with something extraordinary.
And at no stage were you ever subsequently told that the craft was of non-human origin?
I will tell you that during this process, over the last couple of years, it's been confirmed to me by ranking members of the UAP task force that what we were working with that night was in fact NHI, and it was not a unique experience.
See, a lot of these whistleblowers, they don't want to lose their credentials. They don't want to get thrown in prison. They don't want to get killed because, again, these black budget agencies have a lot of money and they don't know nothing about no laws. But see, things are changing. And it starts with us because we are the creators. So if we want disclosure, we disclose it with ourselves. And then the outer reality mirrors it. See, we have the power because it's all one thing. These people that run these agencies, they're not separate from us. It's all one thing. I am those people. I am those agencies, those corrupt agencies that cover everything up. It's all one thing. That's why I don't fear it, because I am them. I created these programs. See, the reason they don't want disclosure is because if these technologies and their findings were released to the public, released to the scientists, then that would end pollution and end poverty. In about 10, 20 years, we wouldn't be slaves on this planet. We would all be abundant. And they wouldn't have anyone to control. You wouldn't have to bow down to them. There would be abundance. They don't want that. They want slaves. They don't want a planet of abundance. They want people in low frequency, in survival mode, that have to bow down to them. They have to bow down to their egos. so they can feel superior. But those days are done. Because we will get disclosure. It's coming. Because we'll disclose it with ourselves. See, everything is connected. That's why people are always like, well, what would they want with us? We're so inferior and and on all that nonsense. All that ridiculous nonsense that you hear people talk about. They wouldn't want nothing to do with us. It's all connected. It's all one thing. You're the creator. You're not the little human character that you think you are. It's all one thing. But that's how the ego thinks. What would they want with me? I'm just a little ego. A little fragile ego. No, you're not. You're the creator. You're the I am. You're not your thoughts. You're not your emotions, and you're not your experiences. You are the sentience. And so we need to disclose all these advanced technologies. And understand that these UFOs, UAPs, whatever they want to call them, are very real. Also, they do a lot of things just to test the public, right? Where they have the drones, the recent drone activity and the UAPs and the drones and all of these things. They use it to see how the public will react. And then the government acts stupid, like, well, we don't know nothing. Just don't shoot them down. But we don't know what they are. And we're not, like, do you see how they try to play us like we're fools? A lot of the things they're doing is just to test the public and see how the public's going to react. And then they'll probably try some other shit that ain't going to work. Because people are waking up. But understand, you have the power. You are the creator. Unity consciousness is where it's at. And we are going to disclose it. Once we disclose it with ourselves, the outer reality will reflect it. See, in the universe is no such thing as lack. So when people think we're the only conscious entities, that's ridiculous. Look out, look around. Lack is an illusion. There's no lack around. There's infinite planets, infinite stars, infinite galaxies. Lack is an illusion. That's the ego mind identity that thinks it's the only one. Which, in a sense, you are the only one. Because you're everything. It's all one thing. But yes, we have spacecraft. We have our own, And then there's the ET ones. And another reason they don't want you to realize that there's ETs visiting us is because then you're going to ask more questions about your place in the universe. And they don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know you're the creator. They don't want you to know everything's connected. They don't want you to be able to tap in to your imagination, because that's where your power is. Peace.